Hi, my name's Phil, and I'm a co-founder at Pedagogical. When I was a history teacher, teaching A-level history, I found my students really needed a high frequency of feedback that was actionable. But sometimes I struggled due to workload to provide them feedback at a really high frequency. And secondly, I found that students sometimes didn't know how to act on my feedback. And then lastly, I also found it was difficult to kind of keep track of how students were progressing in terms of their historical thinking. How were they progressing in terms of understanding causation or understanding historical significance or some of these kind of intricacies of the development of historical thinking. So at Pedagogical, we've built a tool that we think can really help teachers do this and massively cut down workload, but also help you to better keep track of how students' historical thinking is developing. So I'm just going to demo how a student would submit an essay through Pedagogical and how they'd receive really actionable feedback that's specific to A-level history, and then that will also feed into the instructor's dashboard, where you can keep track of how your students' historical thinking is developing. So first, the student types in their teacher email. Okay, so I've made 4 assignments, and this is the one that the student needs to choose because that's the essay that they've been set. So, to what extent was there gender improvement in the position of women in China? I've written an answer to this already, but in the answer, I have deliberately only looked at the start of the period. Okay, so hopefully, I'm going to receive feedback telling me that I need to look at the entire period. Okay, the student then enters their email and submits the assignment. And the student email is there more or less just so the teacher can identify who submitted the essay. So at this stage, the model that we have fine-tuned with really high-quality examples of A-level history marking is being used to give students feedback, and also it's going to be used to provide some insights that the teacher can use to help them understand the students' learning over time. The other thing to point out is that students can upload a handwritten essay. We know most of the time A-level students write handwritten essays, or a lot of the time they do. So they can upload a handwritten essay, and we have quite an accurate system for the student being able to actually convert that into digital text. So the students got really, what we've tried to do here is ensure that students get really, really specific feedback that is kind, but is also actionable. Okay, so excellent work. You provided comprehensive analysis from 1950 to 1955. But you should look at the effects beyond 1955 and how they influence women's position that you alluded to with the period in question. Okay, so that's what we consider to be specific, actionable feedback. So some students would stop there and they can redo their essay, or they can improve at that, based on that feedback. But actually, if they want to go further, there's a deep dive where we go through each of the different question assessment objectives and provide more specific feedback. Okay, so here, for example, you've clear and sustained analysis of the reforms and their impact on women's position. To deepen that analysis, consider the long-term effects of the reforms introduced in the anatomy of women's position. The later years of period in question use stems and started like the legacy of the new marriage law continued. So what we've tried to do here is make sure it's quite actionable. So students actually are getting given sentence starters in the feedback, but crucially, we're not doing the whole job for them. We're providing them sentence starters, getting them thinking about how they can improve it in an actionable way, but we're not doing too much of the work for them, so they still have to do the improvements themselves. And yeah, for each of the different assessment objectives, we have this. In the deep dive, we have a section. Okay, so that's the student feedback. So then, if I go to my instructor dashboard, So this is my instructor dashboard for this question, okay? And I can see the class average is 15.56. I can see all the student essays who submitted, and for each of the essays I can see the short version of the feedback under the person. I can see what marks they were given. Okay. I can also see a breakdown of the assessment objective levels for each of the different assessment objectives, and I can see it appears that the students in my class, or this is obviously an example class, it's not real, but you can see that actually in terms of structure, the students are doing better. Whereas with judgment, my students appear to be not doing so well. There's quite a lot of students on level 3 on judgment, whereas on structure, students tend to be more likely to be level 4. So that could be helpful and inform my teaching. I can also generate a whole class feedback summary, which just summarizes all the feedback from the class. And I can also see for each student, I can actually go in and I can see what assessment objective level they were given and an explanation of that assessment objective level. Similarly, I can see the short and long and deep feedback that the student has been given. Yeah, and as you can see, this is just a summary of what went well and even better if for the whole class, based on all the feedback. So we think this can be really powerful because we think this can allow teachers to provide a higher cadence of feedback to the students without increasing their marking load. And alongside the regular marking that teachers are already obviously doing, and the comments teachers are providing the students, we think this can be additional. We definitely don't see this as kind of replacing teacher marking, because for many different reasons it's important, but we think this can help increase the cadence of giving feedback to students, and also we think these insights can really help teachers understand over time how their students' historical thinking is developing. Similarly, also this is how you actually create an assignment. So currently we have knowledge, source, and interpretations questions for Edexcel. Thank you very much, and please get in touch if you would like to be an early release user for this feature. Currently we've given access to 3 schools, so there are 3 schools currently using this, but if you would like access to this and you would like to use this feature, please let me know. Thanks.